Good afternoon here from Gans Creek, the course I'll be hosting the NCAA Division I Cross Country Championships tomorrow. I'm here without my usual partner, Chris Chavez. My name is Isaac Wood. On behalf of CITIUS Mag, talking about the NCAA Championships tomorrow. I've been asked to give some picks and some predictions on what I think is going to happen tomorrow. And so here's what I'm thinking. All right, let's talk about the podium. Every coach goes into the season, that has a chance to be on the podium. It's the conversation of what does it take? Typically, I say, on average, if your team breaks 200 points or lower, you're going to have a really strong chance at the podium. So, what are the four men's teams that I believe will be in that position to be on the podium with the trophy top four at NCAAs? Here's who I like in that fourth spot. I like Oregon's men. I know there's some recency bias. I just watched them live in person, but I just can't get over how smooth, how controlled they look. Over 10K, chopping it up the whole time. They controlled that race. Now, I think the NCAA meet is a different race. It's not going to be controlled from the front early. It's going to be out hard. It's going to be kind of a, get out and hold on. Depending on the conditions, as we walk here right now, it's a little mushy, it's a little wet, and it's going to keep raining. So maybe that does change some things, but doesn't that put things in Oregon's favor? Is that not more like Oregon weather? And I like Abdel Lajel. I like Aiden Smith. I like the Evan Bishop transfer from Wisconsin. Toss in some homegrown Oregon boys like Ben Balaz. I really, really like this Oregon team for fourth. Here's my third place pick, New Mexico man. I do think Hopton Samuel obviously is a very strong low stick for them. And Darren Gostin has compiled this team to be a player. And part of me wonders, maybe, is there a chance they sneak into that second or first spot? There could be. I don't really know what that team can do when they all have, a really strong race. I still feel like they've had a couple of races where they've had one or two guys that didn't quite put one together. So in all five of those of their really strong top five put a race together, maybe third is too low for them. But for right now, I like New Mexico at number 3. Number 2, gotta go with Iowa State. It's clear after watching them at Big 12s, that they are obviously very strong. Watching them at Gans Creek, watching them throughout the season, they're loaded. They have, honestly, it's almost too bad that an Oklahoma State team exists, because this might be one of the better teams in the NCAA over the last decade. Led by Joash Ruto, Robin Clemoy-Vera, Sinelli Masundo, Roger Skiplimo. It's an unbelievably strong core that I feel really confident about them being number 2. And number 1, I'm wearing their colors, not on purpose, but I do really like Oklahoma State's men for the win. I think that it's clear that they have the pieces necessary to be the number 1 team in the NCAA. I think that it's clear that they've put that together throughout the whole season, and how they looked at Big 12s is it's obvious to me that really they can have any kind of race happen, and they have the tools and the pieces to be the best team in the NCAA. So I've got Oklahoma State winning.
What or who do you think will be the biggest X factor in that Iowa State-Oklahoma State showdown? Celebrity status.
I think the biggest X factor for Iowa State versus Oklahoma State really is the head-to-head that has already happened. I think a lot of times when you race and you have the opportunity to race someone head-to-head and you see how it went, you see how it goes, you get a familiarity with each other. I think Oklahoma State and Iowa State know each other really well. And I think, honestly, from that, I think Oklahoma State just has a confidence and a belief that they're the best team. I think Iowa State has incredible talent and great pieces. And obviously, I think, Coach Sudbury feels really confident that they've got, a bunch of really, really good 10K guys. And this is a 10K race. But I think there's just a level of confidence and almost a chip on the shoulder that Oklahoma State has from last year's really poor race that's going to help them really elevate to being the best team at the end of the day tomorrow. Let's talk about this women's team race. Lots of talented programs. I do think that there's a level of quality to the individual race that's really exciting about this, that will still have a significant impact, in my opinion, on the team title. So when the individual race and the team race line up, that really lends for a really exciting and just intriguing NCAA championship as a whole. Sometimes when there's a bunch of really good individuals that have no connection to the team race, it kind of changes that dynamic. But I really do love the idea that what happens up front not only can play a role with obviously those individual aspirations, but also then the team stuff as well. As we look at again the teams that are hoping to be on the podium to get their trophy at the end of the meet. For fourth, I really like Florida in that fourth spot. Will Palmer has put together this team the way he wants it, led by Hilda Lemngole, a strong Judy Chip coach transfer from Arizona State. Tia Wilson from the UK has been an incredible addition over the last year plus for them. I think they can even put 2 in the top 15 or 20. Tia Wilson's an All-American candidate, and I think when you put 3 in that top 40 and your back end is still that strong, I like Florida for 4. For third, I'm gonna roll with BYU. Low stick Jane Hedengren, freshman phenom, has been fantastic all year. Toss in Taylor Rotinsky, Taylor Lovell, Nila Roberts, and a combination of probably 5 or 6 women that Coach Taylor can choose from to really give them a chance to be in that mix. I like BYU for third. And second, might surprise some people, this one, I like NC State here. Obviously, I think, Angelina Napoleon is just coming off that unbelievable world champs year. She's looked better and better every race. I think the question is, where is Grace Hartman at with her fitness? Is she healthy? Okay, where's she been at training-wise? If Grace isn't quite to where we know she can be due to injury or whatever's been going on, then I think that does impact that program just a little bit more than maybe could be seen as an issue, because what goes on after that is they're used to having Grace there up at the front with, the back end with Robber, Michalik, Gapes, Engelhart. It's probably the deepest team in the NCAA. A lot will just be, do they need that really true low stick alongside Napoleon to get the win over who I have for number 1? So let's talk about number 1. I picked them last year. I'm picking them again. I'm doubling down on my pick from last year. And if I'm wrong this time, I might not ever pick them again. No, I'm kidding. But I really like Oregon's women. Here's why, okay? Obviously, Chirotich is the real deal, okay? She's cruised through a lot of races. I feel like she cruised through the West Regional. Probably a top 5 athlete, could be better. What was she, 2nd or 3rd at World Juniors? So I think I like her there. Obviously, Shalana Yildiz still coming off of world champs as well. Strong 1500 meter runner. And then, I do think that what Oregon has is they have put together this team where Annika Thompson, who was 42nd last year at NCAA's, she might be their 5, right? So if she's their 5, and Juliet Cherubit transferred from Texas Tech with Cherubit, Yildiz, and Chirotich, that's 3 of the top 15, right? And then if your 5 is in the top 40, that's the recipe for a win. So that gives me the confidence to say I think Oregon's women gets it done this year.
Same question as the men. If assuming Hartman is okay, how do you see Oregon and NC State matching up?
Yeah, I think if Hartman's okay, it changes a lot. And so that's why I know I'm going out on a limb a little bit here with this pick, because obviously I think if Hartman is in the mix, top 5, potential runner, maybe even better, it probably does give NC State, to me, a better chance at winning. I think they probably do win if Hartman's back to where she was earlier in the year. So honestly, a lot of this thought is, I just don't know if you can reset a season like she kind of has had to and get back to where she was at that peak in the middle of September. I don't know if she can get back to that quickly enough if she's healthy. But if she's there, you have to think NC State has the depth necessary to probably get the win. But that's why I have to think Oregon for now. I still like getting that NCAA championship. Of course, here, parts of it are already chopped up. It's supposed to rain in probably the next 2 or 3 hours, all the way through the night, into the race tomorrow. So I honestly am not sure how the conditions are going to be here, but it's awesome to be able to be out here and check out the conditions as we get ready for the race. From an individual standpoint on the men's side, there's 2 guys who really come to mind as potential candidates for national champions. Brian Musau, who's gotten the better of Hatem Samuel over 5K, probably a better leg speed than Hatem Samuel, is obviously going to be in contention from Oklahoma State, and Hatem Samuel from New Mexico as well. So looking at those 2, it's just hard for me not to think that Hatem's been second 2 years in a row. I think he's got the motivation, the fitness, and the savvy on how to run this race and how to win it. So I got to go Hatem Samuel for your NCAA champ on the men's side.
What style of race do you think we're gonna get tomorrow?
The style of race tomorrow, I think if the conditions are going to be like we think they're going to be, wet, mushy, hard to move, I think you'll see a hard first start to get out and get position. That I could see that race being controlled a little bit more and kind of like a war of attrition of who's willing to kind of suffer the longest up to the front with those conditions. I think if that's the case, I think that goes maybe to a Brian Musau who has the better kick. That might be a race that sets up better for him. But I just don't see a world tomorrow where no matter the conditions, I think Happy Samuel will find a way to figure it out.
If it's a two-man race for the win, who's someone you think that could be a surprise, like top 10 or top 5 finisher?
If there's a surprise person in that mix up at the front, I really think Rocky Hansen from Wake Forest can be that guy. He has maybe the most gumption. You know, he's got kind of that Connor Mance, I don't care, I'm just gonna go kind of mentality. And in a race that could be a little slower, a little bit harder to move, you know, I would look for Rocky Hansen to be up in that front of that group for a really, really long time and in contention through the end of the race. All right, women's race individually. There's some people, you know, that are gonna think, okay, Doris has been untouchable, she's unbelievable, she's been the NCAA champ, and how could anyone not pick her? But when there's a freshman phenom like Jane Hedengren in the mix, I really do think that Jane has the potential to do things at the NCAA level that no one has done. And the way she's controlled races, the way she's pulled away from people, I have to think that Jane Hedengren from BYU gets the win.
How much weight do you put towards the gap between Jane and Pamela Kosgei at Mountain Regionals when you're trying to look at how Jane stacks up against Doris?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that gap matters. I think race to race, you have to just look within the confines of each race. I think Pamela was just, you know, kind of knew Jane was going to do her thing, so she'd let her do that. So I'm not going to look at that too much. I'm going to look at the way that Jane dropped people at pre-nationals about a month-ish ago here, just pulling away from people so easily. She can change a gear without anyone even noticing, and next thing you know, she's gone, and she's put 5 seconds on you, then she's put 10, then she's put 15, and that's what Jane does. She's gonna make a move so silent that we don't really know it, and then it's over at the blink of an eye. And Jane, with that capacity to make moves like that so seamlessly, so smooth, and just her raw, just competitive nature of, like, she just is a winner. And when you're a winner and you have that level of talent, it's easy for me to think that Jane Hedengren gets the win tomorrow.
Where do you think we see that move in the race?
Depends on the course conditions. I could see her being a little more patient like she was at pre-nationals. I think especially when getting a win is really important. I think that she'll be maybe more patient than she's looked maybe at Big 12s or regionals. So maybe more like a pre-nationals approach where she's in the mix up at the front, 1K, 2K, 3K, then you start to see the move made, some separation, 3, 4. The question is, can Jane handle Doris Lemngole, you know, side by side with her through 4, 5, maybe 5.5K. And if she can and still, you know, feel confident and feel strong and feel like, you know, like she can still win, then that's where I still think Jane has that upper edge there. But the key here might be, can Doris hang around long enough and maybe just hurt Jane's confidence of winning just enough to maybe open the door? And if that door gets open, there's a world where Doris obviously takes advantage of that and gets a win.
Same question as the men. Do you see a dark horse kind of surprise, top 10, top 5 finisher? Who do you think is going to run well tomorrow?
Well, I think we've already talked about her, but I think Trotich from Oregon has maybe been underplayed of her quality, and I think I see her sticking around in the front of that race for a really long time, and maybe being someone who also sits on the shoulder of Jane Hedengren for a while to kind of, you know, keep her right there close. I don't know if she has, you know, run in the high-end races this year to really help her feel prepared for that. She dominated Big Tens, dominated Dillinger, but I do think that she could be someone who's going to be around for a long time in the individual race.